So on behalf of zeb, and I'm very happy to be here, very happy to share insights about payments. I think the stage belongs to our panelists. However, given that we called for this meeting, we wanted to give you a brief introduction and kind of a couple of points, a couple of thoughts. We are here amongst, let's say, payment experts and payment friends. So I guess there will be not too much new, but just to spark up the discussion and basically focus our thoughts on the couple of topics that we want to discuss today. So I am Nicola. I lead the payment practice in zeb. We are an international practice based in Warsaw in CEE, as well as in Frankfurt and Berlin and Milan. So wherever zeb is, I'm personally from Vienna, where we also have a couple of team members, and some of you I've met before, some of you I haven't, but I hope we can exchange on payment topics from, let's say, apps and card payments and merchant topics, all the way to scheme topics, back office, IT, yeah, in the coming period. So what we did is basically prepared a very brief intro. I think when we talk about payments, payments are currently the hottest playground of the financial industry. We said that they were also on the forefront of innovation, also the forefront of liberalization of the financial industry with PSD2. But currently there's basically stuff going on everywhere you look. Also this morning we had let's say the termination of the partnership between Apple and Goldman Sachs. So there seems to be experimentation on the highest level, global partnerships, and then even though they look promising from the outside, they are called off. So there's something going on all the time. And basically everything that happens is somehow an interplay between new payment methods, new players in the game, so no longer fully reserved to the financial industry. Then innovative technologies, sometimes they're not that new, but still they're coming into the mainstream, and the good old payment standards, which I would say with the wave of ISO implementations, and on the European level, PSD2, also GDPR to a certain extent, and also some, let's say, optional schemes such as SEPA one leg out or request to pay. There's always something to look into, something to read into, something to understand for us and as industry practitioners, and especially for you as, let's say, the guardians of the customer interface, and also the ones who are taking care that the banking clients have the right way to pay wherever they go. And we pick out only a couple of points just to inspire the discussion today, and I guess this will also be some of the questions that Maciek will then try to place with you and try to discuss. So I think what's really hot at this point in time is the instant payment topic. This is primarily, or at least the way we see it, it's a pan-European, but also a SEPA-driven topic, which has gained traction again with a new political agreement between the EU Commission and the European Parliament early November, which was then also made public with kind of an expected timeline for 24-25, that we will basically see instant payment becoming or coming closer to being the new normal in credit transfers, at least. Then we want to talk briefly about the new competitors. I think this is rather a look back already, because they're somehow here to stay. They're not that new anymore. And we want to just give a couple of thoughts on the digital euro. Of course, it's a very much a topic in development, or news in development, as you often see in the news channels. So just a couple of preliminary statements from our side on the topics. So for instant payment, I think what's really interesting to see already is, based on the data available, there seems to be a pickup, but also a flattening of the adoption trend of instant payment. So if somebody wants to make instant payment the new normal, something needs to be done already today in order to give it a bit more traction. And I think this is where the political agreement comes into play between the Commission and the Parliament to basically make instant payment the new normal. Currently, there's participation, but not a push for adoption. There is a discussion, as you probably know, about the pricing, which on one hand should be the same as for normal credit transfers. On the other hand, there seems to be a backdoor now for basically pricing the instant payment at kind of an economically sustainable level for US banks. And what we have noticed is that instant payments have never basically come fully adopted just based on credit transfers out of the banking channel. So they need to be kind of productized. They need to be put into a scheme. And we have seen basically with Pix in Brazil, for example, that if paired with alternative payment methods, instant payments become really alive. And they especially start shaping the peer-to-peer and the peer-to-pro, so small merchant payments much more than before. Some systems which are also readily available in the countries where you are in, so like Blik in Poland, they are based on credit transfers already, and they basically have a similar potential to basically push the instant payment usage even more in future. The next topic would be about the new competitors. I mean, since basically the early 2010s, we have seen an increasing number of market entrants on the customer interface side in the payment area. And usually there were niche business models that somehow pushed into mainstream, either from, let's say, peer-to-peer payments like PayPal, or Klarna with kind of buy now, pay later offering, or cross-border payments, up to actually, carrying your card in the pocket and earning on the interchange as an Apple Pay. So what we have here increasingly been seeing that coming from a niche does not mean that the customer interface is safe in the hands of the banks. So looking at the new competitors altogether, they seem to be basically entering into the game at the most vulnerable and most frequent touch point between the financial services provider and the consumer. And this is, I think, the danger, beside losing a little bit of the revenue here and there, where the consumer uses an alternative cross-border provider or uses the card in their wallet rather than the plastic card. What we have then seen further on is that these providers like Revolut become full banks, but also on the other side, I mean, if we look in the direction of SumUp, there are countries where SumUp is not only providing the terminals, which we can now debate if they're the best option for everyone, because obviously there are also soft POS mobile solutions which could be even more superior. But I think the simplicity of SumUp, the straightforwardness of the pricing, the detachment from the mobile device, because not every merchant wants to have one mobile device for all the employees, somehow shows that there is a market for that still. And with SumUp offering also bank accounts, I think we are basically seeing the flip side of the payment competition coming also from the merchant / acquiring side of the market. And last but not least, again, very preliminary thoughts on central bank digital currencies. This is definitely a topic which is not yet in the, let's say, in implementation of all our clients that we are talking to, and also probably not at the front of your roadmap, but a very relevant topic, because what we saw in especially for example, in Switzerland, we saw a possibility to work on CBDCs as a new wholesale model, so new model for clearing and settlement, fully digitally, basically tuned to the real-time world upfront, and so on. So a lot of potential for actually streamlining the entire payment infrastructure that has been built up in the last 40, 50 years with kind of SWIFT as the common name for everything that's represented by the wholesale payments model. We have also we're quite, let's say, surprised as practitioners to see that the ECBs is looking only into the retail CBDC, but we understand the motivation as kind of a digital cash alternative, also partially, rationalized by the need to have a monetary policy instrument which is not paper cash, but kind of a digital form of cash. And the discussion is very heated currently, and I guess you as the industry are also often part of these discussions with the central banks, with the different agencies, industry associations, governing bodies. The decision is not final to go forward, but the public debate seems to be going into the direction of how to explain the case for a digital euro, rather than saying, okay, do we have to do it or not? So I think the question of if is not that much on the table anymore, but 2025 is the year of the final decision. So I think there's still some time to go before all of this is finally settled. What we see independent of the timing of the decision is, of course, the potential impact. Consumers will get a further instrument that they can use, or a further payment method, depending on how it is packaged. So in a European dedicated wallet for digital euros, or every wallet which carries payment methods today, merchants across Europe may be required to accept digital euros. I think this could be a game changer for the acceptance, and could be a game changer also for the usage, of course, but it doesn't come without a cost. And I think here the merchants are in the same boat as banks, who will probably have to put forward a lot of infrastructure in order to make it work. And we expect this to be heavily subsidized, or if you will, incentivized by the central banks in order to get the system going at all. Experience of the digital yuan shows that the adoption is not, at least at first, very strong, but obviously the motivation of having an instrument in place is kind of currently ahead of the actual use cases and the actual value add that's anticipated, at least currently, by the industry and the public. As a summary of my take today, I would just like to say the following: that payments seems to be hitting across different aspects of the entire business model of the banks that we see today. This is why we also oriented today's session around the bank's perspective on payments. So it's a cost topic, it's an income topic, but it's primarily also a customer ownership topic. First of all, on the consumer side, but increasingly also on the corporate/merchant side. And I think there's stuff to do everywhere you look. And in order to kind of support also our title as well, it seems that as in Alice in Wonderland, you have to run or you have to walk in order to stay in place. So you have to invest a lot into payments in order to stay in the game. It's not a topic where you can stand on the sideline and watch what's going on, but rather you need to enter the playing field and run in order to keep up with the competition, with the customer requirements, with the regulatory requirements, and with the technology advancements and new scheme rules and everything else. I think you're quite used to that anyway, but I think it's now true more than ever. So we thought that this Alice in Wonderland quote fits quite well to what you are confronted with. Yeah, with that being said, I would hand over to our moderator.
Thank you, Nicola, for an insightful introduction. We agreed that it will be brief and concise, and you will not, discuss all the topics upfront, which we would like to discuss in the second half of the panel, which I have a pleasure to moderate in the next minutes. I would like to introduce, and I'm very happy that three really true European payment experts accepted our invitation to the discussion panel. Maria Georgieva, Head of Digital Payments from Raiffeisen Bank International. Hello. Krzysztof Hock, Head of Cash Management Tribe from BNP Paribas Bank Polska from Poland, and Monika Truchlikowa, Tribe Leader of Payments Method for Komerční banka from Czech Republic.
Good morning.
Good morning, and I'm really happy that you are today with us. In terms of procedure, we will in a few seconds deep dive into the topics which Nicola indicated, but maybe also some other aspects which are of interest in the area of payments. In the meantime, when we will be discussing, my colleague will switch on also the some couple of questions, so a poll to the audience, just also to confront, I would say, our discussion, our ideas, also with opinions of people who are listening to us. There are also bankers from different countries, mainly from the payments area, but also beyond. So it would be great if you could also share your opinions. And in the second half of discussion, I will come to this point, and our colleague Ilya will present the results of the poll, which we will also can comment in the second half of the discussion panel. The audience is muted, but I mean, if you have any questions, we encourage that you use the chat function to ask the question, and we will. I will just be looking also on the poll and your questions, and we will include them into our discussion. So, going already to the discussion, I think Nicola presented a couple of trends which are interesting, which we believe are being discussed and are relevant for the payments industry. But maybe as a starting question, I would like also to get your assessment. I mean, which of these trends, maybe some other payments trends, are on your agenda, and which of these trends you believe will shape the future of payments? Maybe Monika, if you could start with this question, and we continue.
Thank you very much. So starting with instant payments, maybe just to for you who does not know Czech Republic, unfortunately, we are still not a Euro country. So on some of the subjects, so we are very much relevant for those countries who has their local currency. So we have launched the instant payments with the local currency CZK in a close cooperation with Czech National Bank. So currently, we are able, like a KB, to send the transactions both ways, like a old standard way and instant way, both to the same subjects, which is the Czech National Bank. I think it's very well adopted in the Czech country. One of the driver was that the instant payments are on the same price as a standard payments. So it's more like a technical feature now. So, for example, in KB, how it works, that if you are putting a transactions, you are not even decided whether it's instant or standard. It's the bank which is saying, I am going to process the transaction as soon as possible, unless the customer decide I want to have it the day after, or, you know, with some other time. So I think if you want to succeed with the volumes and share of instant, this usually works. Of course, it has some impacts into the pricing or income. So the country decided that there is no additional income coming from instant payments. At the same time, I think it's also very much limiting the competition you mentioned out of the fintechs, because the Czech Republic is one of those when banks are still playing the dominant role. So they maybe just for the adoption of the instant payments, we has been starting with lower amounts. Just to see how it works, also from the security reasons. And now I think the maximum amount is something like 20,000 euro, maybe even more recently. So now we are reaching the point that I think on that around 30% of the transactions are being processed instantly on the market. We are still on retail because the Czech National Bank, or at that time it was decided that it's only available for retail payments. Nevertheless, we have a strong demand from corporate customers saying, we are also here. And the speed for us is maybe even more important than for retail customers. So the next steps definitely, or generally, is going to be also looking at the possibility to enlarge it to other and to private and to business entities, not only retail. Looking at and so I was describing the pluses. What now is a big concern here in the Czech Republic are frauds. Because, the fraudsters are, I don't know if you are facing the same issue, especially on Facebook, the people selling the stuff between themselves are trying to put the web page where you enter your credentials, and so we see a big shift from the card frauds, which used to be in the past the predominant, to the payment frauds, because usually the flow is that if you send the transaction instantly, that the money leaves KB, and then on the other side there is someone in front of the ATMs and then withdraw everything in cash, and if you don't react as a bank in a few seconds, the money are gone. What we are also observing now is that, of course, usually there is some mistakes done by the customer. Either he allows another mobile phone to enter his mobile banking, but it's a very big push to our fraud detection system, because of course the customer said, okay, I know that I made a mistake, but there was a obvious different behavior on my account, so we expect you as a bank to stop it after because usually the behavior is that it's not only one transaction, it's one. So the attackers are testing, the limits, etc. Usually, the account is emptied through many small transactions in quite fast frequency. So. This is if I'm not speaking only about the positives of the instant payments. So it's a very big pressure from the Czech National Bank and also the market. And, we have to really invest into the fraud detection system. And I think this is a great place for if we are speaking about the future, about the AI. I think the self-learning fraud detection system is something which I very much believe is going to be the future. I think AI can play an important role there. And also we are member of we call it strategic payment group in the Czech Republic. And this is one of the topic, and please stop me if I'm too long, because I can talk about this topic for hours. I'm very active within the Czech, because I think what here also can help a lot is the cooperation between the banks. Speaking about the future, I think it's very good to have a healthy cooperation But in some areas, I believe for a space for a cooperation among the banks. So this is one of those. We are now looking at, either maybe we can share the fraud detection system. So the more data we have, usually the fraud detection system is stronger. We are also looking at the options, if the money leave KB, but for some reasons are still, and if we have some suspicion that this account is being, some attacker account, that we can block the money even though they are already outside of KB, but still in the banking system. So this is also which very much we believe in. And looking at, generally speaking, about the cooperation, we have recently, if you're speaking about the innovations and the way of payment, but maybe it's nice for the next block when we will speak about the fintechs. We have recently launched the payment on contact. Again, 9 banks together developing this functionality. So you don't, for those who are registered, it's only 2 weeks innovation. You don't need to remember the account number of the person you are going to send the money to, and you just send it on your contact list from your mobile phone. So if I should summarize what trends I'm observing in payments, and I think the number one is the simplicity. I will talk later on also, if needed, about we are very much a card-driven country and contactless country. I think we are number 2 in worldwide in terms of contactless acceptance. So I think around 30% of the transactions already contactless. So the cards that then are like the winners for the time being on the market, because 30% of cards being tokenized into the mobile phones or watches. So people are just going and tapping. So for account-to-account payments, the benchmark, what means simple, is really tough, to reach a similar level. So we believe that if the instant payments, at least I'm speaking on behalf of the Czech market, to be more adapted also for peer-to-peer or even at the merchants level or internet, or e-shops, the UX, the customer journey, has to be similar to cards. And since the cards, the benchmark here is really like just tap and go. We have really a long journey in front of us to make the account transactions on the similar UX. So
Monica, let maybe just I will now maybe ask Maria. I will come back to the topics. I think you raised here a lot of valid points, but I mean, let maybe confront it with other panelists, and we will come back to you. Don't worry. I mean, now you will have enough space to discuss further topics. Maybe Maria, if I could ask you, because you have I think a good overview about multiple countries in the CE region, which is of interest to us today, and these are Euro countries, but also non-Euro countries. So I think nice mixture. I mean, do you see some other topics besides those which were mentioned by Monica, like frauds, instant, and also cooperation between banks?
I totally agree with everything which Monica just mentioned and explained. And in terms of instant payment, it will be the new way of payment, right? No one is doubting that. And I can only confirm that being in several regions within Central and Eastern Europe, we see such kind of instant payment infrastructure built in, for example, Romania, in Serbia, where the euro is still not adopted. And it goes hand to hand with this alias service. So it goes along with the possibility of sending money to a phone number or a contact from your phone list, which is for peer-to-peer payment, obviously a must if you would like to have this nice, smooth customer experience. But this is domestic instant payments, right? And the user, whenever he would like to send money to someone, he do not really make this difference. I'm sending money domestically, I'm sending money internationally. So their expectation is that they will have the same experience when sending money elsewhere in the world. And yes, we are going towards that. And within Europe, I believe it will happen sooner or later, probably sooner. But what we have to do as the ones who are standing behind those products and services, we have to ensure the speed of those payments to as much corridors as we can. And this is how to say, it's being possible nowadays, right? We have use cases where fintechs are already providing such kind of experience. We have a partnership between fintechs and banks in order to have the same kind of experience and level of service provided by the banks themselves, right? So instant payments obviously is a trend, and it will be the new normal. I fully believe in that. When talking about cryptocurrencies or CBDC or actually digital euro, and we all know that the investigation phase completed, right? They are now, the ECB is now entering the first preparation phase. And here I also believe that this will be a trend which probably in some midterm timeline will have a big impact in Europe because it has all of those benefits which the cash has, right? And especially we know that within Eastern Europe we consider cash as a king still for multiple reasons, right? I'm not going to talk about all of them, but this grey economy in this part of the world, it is still something, right? And here being specialists which are mainly dealing with cards, so the card business is one of, as Monica said, especially in some of the markets like Slovakia, Czech Republic, where they have this big card maturity. I believe that this will be to a big extent affected by the digital euro. Yes, it depends how it will be adopted. It depends what kind of incentive mechanism will stand behind. All that is true, but it is something which, according to me, will change the environment to some extent. Other trends, what is very interesting for me, and this is something which I'm also tracking, is different biometric payments and especially voice payments. So this is something very interesting for me, because nowadays all of us, we are so busy. We are always doing multiple tasks simultaneously. And at some point of time, I believe that we are going to bank in between those tasks. And being able to do that via voice, this voice banking, for me, it's something which we should look at. And it is actually something on which Asia, China in particular, is very much focused on. So it's something which I'm personally also tracking. So I can continue as well, but probably also Christoph could add something here.
Yeah, let's maybe try to leave some topics also for Krzysztof. And I think when I was listening to Monica with non-Euro country, I think instant payments, I would say phone number linked to account, I think it resonated. But Krzysztof, I mean, what is your opinion about the trends also? Because I know that also you cover corporate banking clients, so maybe there are also some aspects which are interesting from their perspective.
Thank you, Maciek. Yes, indeed. And referring to your introduction, today I'm interim head of cash management tribe, and my origin is sales. So I would like to look at a little bit from this customer perspective, let's say. So I have this, strong focus on this side, and for sure, looking at the customers and their demands. They're looking for, let's say, more efficient, automated, and robust payment capabilities. I think that it was already mentioned during the presentation that the payments today we see they are in the central point of customer relationship, and this is what we need to focus. And of course, I wouldn't be very original, because what has been already mentioned, the speed of payments is the top priority. And I think that also how we look at the speed of payments, why it's important for our clients today, it also change over the time. Because before, when we look especially at the corporate clients, we think, okay, maybe the speed payment is a kind of emergency need. Today, it's more about efficiency on the customer side. It's all about kind of, I would say, customer experience, about my recipient experience, that I can pay fast and then I can pay for the invoice and reconcile it. So this is important. And also our customers are building, I would say, overlay services, some, let's say, value added services based on the instant payment infrastructure. So that's why this is important for them. Another topic I see in the terms of the payments is the visibility and the tracking of payments. This is something was also pop up very often, and our customers would like to see where the payment is, how fast we are tracking these payments, and also this visibility, I think, help us also to improve the processing of payments, because as long as something is tracked, is visible, we are more motivated as banks to improve the speed of payments. And this is also strong. What we also see from the global perspective, and as BNP Paribas, we are present in many countries in Europe, and we provide our customers with one payment hub, so they can link to the payment hub and distribute their payments all over the Europe. We see the huge expectation in terms of automation and integration, connectivity, I would say, right? And this is the topic which is quite, the connectivity, I think, is a challenging topic, because as long as now our regulators are helping us with kind of a file format, we're talking about the ISO 222. So there is a good step, I would say, forward, but still in terms of the connectivity, we are, like, say, lacking of kind of a standardization. When we look at APIs with our customers, still the treasurers are struggling with the lot of, you know, different APIs from different banks. So here is something that there is a kind of a gap, and we need to solve it in the future. And from the innovation perspective and the trends, we see that e-commerce is still boosting the innovation of payments. So the BLIK, which was mentioned during the presentation in Poland, was very visible examples. Today, BNP Paribas, together with other 15 banks in Europe, set up European payment initiatives. And this is also something that Monika mentioned, right, about the improving of this account-to-account transactions. So European Payment Initiative is something answering this need. We already set up let's say the wallet, right? It's going to be called Wiro. First, it's going to be peer-to-peer transaction. Then we will handle e-commerce transaction. We have handled also regular POS transaction during this. But the main idea behind is to have one unified standard of payment account to account in Europe. So this is, I think, something which is also an important point of that. And maybe last but not least, we cannot forget about the regulations, which also kind of impact the trends of payments, especially in Poland. You know, in Poland we have the split payment, which was a big project implemented regarding to VAT payments. Now we have this KSEF, called in Polish, so related to the e-invoicing. It's maybe not impacting today a new standard of payment in Poland, but it also, like, oblige our customer to put additional information in the payment instruction regarding the invoice number. So there are also trends like this, which are, I would say, from some point of view, they are boosted by the regulation. And ISO that we're going to talk in probably regarding the next questions is also boosting some kind of changes in the payment in the payment trends.
Exactly. I mean, thank you, Krzysztof. I will exactly wanted to move towards this regulatory aspects. I mean, you mentioned already some. Like ISO, so MT and MX transition, so the new XML format, much richer than the form one. You mentioned our local, I would say, also invoicing, but also I would say PSD3 is also on the radar, so it's coming, and there might be also, I would say, in terms of open banking, some further challenges on the way. Monica, from your perspective, I mean, what is currently on top of your regulatory list? I mean, which of these regulations in your business have the highest impact currently?
So in cooperation with Societe Generale, we have been, implementing the MTMX like very heavily. I think thanks to the great team we have, I think we have been one of the first one on the market because our colleague said, I am ready and I don't have anyone to test it with. So this was definitely in terms of capacities. What is in front of us, and we are really looking with that with a bit of respect, is the SEPA instance. Because we are in a unique and strange position because we have a branch in KB Bratislava, so which is Slovakia, which is EU country, and they are using our systems. So for KB, we will be belonging to the banks which have some reasonable time, I don't know, around 2 years to implement because we are not EU country, but due to our or thanks, whatever you call it, thanks to our subsidiary in Slovakia, we would be most likely put it as a priority number one because it's a Euro country. And to be honest, the volume compared to KB, like Czech Republic, is so different that for us, the investment will be huge, even though the not equal to the number of transactions. So this is what now in terms of what we have in the top of the discussions, how we are going to deal with that. Because I understand that it's not signed yet, so the timing is not fixed. But when it's signed, we have only a very small window of for the technical implementation.
And Maria, from your perspective, what is I'd say on the group level high on your list?
Yeah, so ISO, SEPA, obviously those are regulations which we already know when they came into force, right? And this need of modernization of the system, it requires efforts, investment, right? So those are obviously the things which we are already working on. As Christoph said, in Raiffeisen, we as well have this centralized payment hub who is dealing with that. So we are already working on implementing a new system there, which will be, of course, with this modern architecture and will, of course, help us be flexible in the future, not only to meet the regulatory requirements, but then to build on top other functionalities, other value-added services, which will even further improve the cross-border payments for our customers. And I see a question in the chat. I'm coming from the retail. Obviously, we are more focused on the consumer payments, and this is something which we are actively working on. But of course, together with the corporate, we see a lot of energies of all of those new trends and upcoming new implementation. In terms of regulations, something else which I would like to mention, which I see as also something important to come, and this is European identity regulation, everything which comes with EIDAS. And here what I think is that one of the main challenge in terms of the consumer payments, not talking about cards. With cards, as Monica said, it is clear, it is nice experience, everything is set up, but if we're talking about alternative payment methods, one of the main challenge we see is this authentication, right? This is the thing which brings friction in the payment. And if we have a kind of tool which help us make this authentication smooth or frictionless, then this will really boost account payments, for example, not only peer-to-peer, but also providing the users a possibility to pay at the point of sale, right, directly during the purchase. So those are, I think, the most important upcoming regulations which we should deal with.
Thank you, Maria. Krzysztof, I know that you look mainly from the sales perspective, but I would say I think the regulatory aspects, I mean, are very much also probably discussed with clients in terms of formats, exchange formats, which you mentioned. I mean, from the topics which were mentioned, I mean, is it again the XML format? I would say urgent on the agenda, or I mean, also I would say these PSD topics are ones which are also on your radar?
I would say both, definitely both. In terms of the ISO, what has been already said, this enriched format gives new possibilities also for the clients, and we see already the interest from the clients to exchange more information using the additional fields in ISO. So the thing that this is going to be a kind of a game changer and kind of a way how the customers are exchanging information between each other. We also play quite an important role as a cash pool bank in Europe. So we see that ISO will also can help the, let's say, subsidiaries to exchange the information, why those flows are these flows are going between the companies, and it's easier to reconcile it. This is an important thing, and this is in our scope on the top of the agenda, as you said. Also, we look at still we're talking about this seamless experience in terms of the cross-border payments. I think it's going to be also another topic of our discussion, but we know that the compliance is a big big challenge still. And when we look at about the regulation, about the ISO, we see also some advantages of exchanging the regulatory data within the ISO format. So maybe we'll be able to provide some additional information regarding, let's say, the travel rule, who is the beneficiary, ultimate the beneficiary of the payment, what is the actually the origin of the payment. So we can put more information into this format, which means that we can probably achieve a better processing of these payments in the future. So this is important, and from this perspective. When we look at the PSD3, in Poland, we have quite, I would say, also extensive experience in working in fintechs, and we are one of the major players on the Polish market in terms of the cooperation with fintechs. Our BNP group is generally focusing on this topic, and Poland is, I would say, the second biggest market in BNP in Europe in terms of the cooperation with fintech. So looking at the PSD3, and one of the main, I would say, issue addressed there, which is giving the access to the payments system, the direct access to the payment system for the payment institution. This also put, let's say, a question mark. What's going to be the future of this cooperation? How fintechs will adopt these changes? Probably the big fintechs will be much more, let's say, it's be easier for them to accept all this regulation. For the smaller fintechs, they will probably need still the bank. So we also look from this perspective. And looking at the regulation, we have this payment service regulation, and there are some topics which are quite important for us also in terms of the security. It is mentioned that it's going to be also account holder name matching, something like, I don't know if it's the good name for that, but that will be also challenging for the bank and challenging for the infrastructure, how to adopt these changes, especially when we think about the instant payments, when this matching should be something that we do behind or online just to secure those instant payments. So I think that from this perspective, we see some challenges in terms of the regulations. And of course, we await this regulation regarding the instant payment, which probably should also boost there's going to be another boost for the instant payments revolution.
I mean, maybe I will here enter a new topic, because I mean, when we were just listening to what you said, I would say both on the regulatory perspective, so exactly I would say XML format adoption, now instant, all this, I would say, name matching things. I mean, this puts probably also based on our experience, because also we as consultants are deeply involved in these topics, this puts a huge challenges towards, I would say, the whole IT infrastructure, which is behind, I would say, for the customer, I think, and also for the regulator. I think they believe, I think this is everything simple and not really visible, but everybody who wants dig deeper into the backbone and see how complex it can be, I think understands very quickly what on the first glance simple change of the format means and what implication it has on the infrastructure. Maya, I mean, if you have, because you look also on multiple countries, and I think this puzzle gets even more complex if you look at that. I mean, what is your perception of impact on infrastructure and IT? I mean, does it involve huge budgets now, I would say, to change it? Or are you somehow centralizing that just to get some synergies? Can you maybe share your view on that a bit?
Yes, as I've mentioned, all of those regulations requires big investment, and we do have some central capabilities. We do have shared service centers which are covering card issuing, card acceptance, and also payments, covering SWIFT, SEPA, etc. So we are obviously, when talking about the IT infrastructure, obviously we have to mention that it is the core for digital transformation, right? You have to start from here. You have to adopt all of those new technology. And I'm not IT expert. I cannot really talk in details about that, but cloud computing, or obviously API integration, having these microservices, being able to plug in, plug out different vendors and providers easily. Also, what we believe is that we do not need to build internally in-house those capabilities. So we are more looking into going into partnership, into looking for vendors who can help us deliver what we need faster and obviously in more cost-efficient way. And here as well, Monica mentioned artificial intelligence. It's something which we are again looking for, because we believe that this will help us further reach efficiency in some of our processes, and not only. Then what else in terms of IT? We do have multiple network banks sitting in different countries, and for us, for example, also big challenge is that we have European countries, we have countries outside of Europe, and yes, we believe in unification, in standardization, in harmonization, but this is not always easy, especially where we have different regulatory environment, different local legislation and specifics. But yes, I can confirm that we are trying to build whatever possible centrally, and then customize only whenever needed and if mandatory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Monica, can you maybe also comment on that? Also, I would be interested in the synergies, maybe with the group you mentioned, or maybe with other banks. You mentioned also, I would say, partner. I would say some joint initiatives with other banks. I mean, how does this correspond? I would say to the IT efforts and the challenges here.
Mm-hmm. So clearly, our target also is to unify as much as possible the group solutions we have in the Société Générale. As Maria clearly mentioned, Czech legislation time to time does not allow us. Secondly, I already mentioned that the Czech being the Czech currency country, for example, when we have recently upgraded our IT system for cards, it was a very big project. Just an example, exactly to be on the top IT levels, because our card management system was 22 years old, COBOL based. So we have been even having problems to find the programmers because they have been 65 and above, So that was a clearly also issue from the risk point of view. So we have decided at the end to choose the Global Payments as the worldwide partner, where we are having the card management system as a software as a service. So we are currently benefiting from, if any new regulations comes, usually it's being already embedded by the provider. We have also choose a very big worldwide player, and thanks to that, we have managed to migrate on one weekend 2 million cards without even customers noticing it. It was like 20 to 30 seconds where the card does not work. But we believe that you have to, as a bank which want to succeed in the future, needs to have a relevant IT infrastructure. So the card management system upgrade was the first step on our digital journey in KB. We are also organized in the agile way. I don't know if some other banks are, which personally I very much believe it helps, even though I heard many times from the banks that, this is more for Spotify or, this kind of, in the bank, it's not possible because of compliance, etc. We are working in an agile way 4.5 years. And the beauty is having the programmers sitting next to the business people. For me, is the top in terms of time to market and delivery and understanding each other. We are learning one from each other. I don't anymore have a purely commercial people, because somehow they are sitting next to them. So they more and more are able to do the business analysis, IT analysis. So the competencies are really growing. We also push the IT teams to a bit of understand or even are aware what their codings will then do in the reality. So personally, I am very big fan of it. We have a group of, as I said, we are working on this for 4.5 years. It's not easy in the banking environment because of the legal compliance, etc. But the time to market really speed up significantly. We are also, like Maria mentioned, we are completely upgrading our IT infrastructure to have the microsites, to have APIs everywhere, to have not one big, block of functionality like it was before, but more like a small components which we can easily upgrade.
I saw, Krzysztof, that you were smiling, so I guess I would say there are some topics which resonate with you. I mean, maybe if you would like to comment also, say, on your experience in this field.
You read me very, very well, Maciek. Yeah, indeed, I share some feelings with Monika. Our infrastructure, IT infrastructure, has this, legacy experience, I would say, and it's also a big challenge on our side to improve the infrastructure capabilities, as our history is quite complex, because BNP in Poland is a big puzzle, and different puzzles are and this a piece of the puzzle are different banks that we were integrating over the last 15 or 16 years. So we have the same, I would say, challenges regarding the systems or applications which are very difficult to program today and to find people who will manage them. And that's why we start a big project of just rebuilding and building from the scratch the new payment infrastructure. So we're building the payment factory, and the goal is to move all these different applications, the satellite systems that we have for different activities, to put into one system. And it's going to be more in-house solutions. So it's based on our, I would say, own resources. But we see it's going to be a big challenge and a big process. It's not something we can do over the year. It's the process. It will take several years to implement and to actually to migrate all this application into one systems. And I fully agree what you said. I mean, Monika and Maria, that the new payment infrastructure should also let's say answer our needs in terms of the easy way of adoption of new technologies. So when we see the challenges in the front of us, we see the fintechs, we see a lot of new solutions. Now we should build the infrastructure which will be able to fast, I would say, adopt all this solution in the future. And this is also the main goal. So we base, of course, our solution on the microservices, which allows of this easy integration. Of course, it's cloud ready in terms of the processing capabilities. So these are our priorities for the next years. And I think, of course, we are struggling with the same issues as others. I mean, the budget, the priorities, right? And of course, this is. Yeah, and this is something which is actually the cost of integration when you need to find a business case for that. It's not an easy topic. It's just the infrastructure. It's not something that you can show as new product for the client. So I think to convince the investors to make this change, you need to show the future and the belief in the future, and to see that without I would say a new, innovative, capable payment infrastructure, you will not be able to compete in the future.
We have already discussed a couple of topics. I got the information from my colleague that the results of the poll are already ready. So maybe just have a look shortly what feedback we have from the audience, if the priorities are similar to what we have just discussed. And then we will continue discussing. Maybe there are a couple of points which would inspire us and direct us in the further discussion.
Yes, thank you, Maciek, and thanks to everyone who participated. I will briefly present the results, but you can hopefully also see them in front of you, and then we can continue discussing the most controversial points here. So the first question was about the trends. And here we can see that the trends or the answers confirm what we have discussed before that the major trends would, of course, be instant payments and digital wallets. No surprises here. In terms of the regulatory initiatives or changes with the highest impact, it's again something we have addressed before. It's the ISO, followed by the PSD3 regulation. The most controversial question probably would be the third one, the perception of fintech and big tech players in relation to banks. Here we can see that the answer is more or less split in half. So maybe this is something we could take over and discuss after that. And in terms of the revenue growth drivers in the future, again, it's the instant payments that, as we addressed before, seem to be the driver for the next 3-5 years. So I don't know, Maciek, which of these questions would you take for further discussion? Which is the most polarizing one for you?
I think there are a couple of topics which we discussed. So I'd say instant payments, digital wallets, AI. I think this is correct. ISO and PSD. I think this was discussed, and revenue drivers. Honestly, I mean, I understand that instant payments in terms of number, but I mean, if this will be really, I would say the revenue driver. Okay, let's see. Because I think this will be a great challenge. So I will pick up on that point. And I think one of the topics which I had on my list and we have not discussed yet, and I think this would give us a good starting point here, is the topic regarding fintechs and big techs, because I think we discussed, I'd say, a lot of challenges, I'd say new formats, new communication ways, APIs, AI, digital wallets, etc. And also what Krzysztof mentioned, that I mean that you have a lot of partnerships or you serve a lot of, I would say, fintechs, where they probably more like, if I understood you correctly, is B2B partners are building also their services on top of your infrastructure. So I would like also to discuss with you now regarding this topic. Is it more a competition? So I would say if you look on, because I think we have different players, like probably if you look on the Revolut, probably this is something more a kind of a competition in cross-border payments and FX transactions which are connected with that. If you are looking on other partners, other fintechs, maybe there are more, I would say, cooperation partners or even your clients if you provide them with the infrastructure. So maybe Monica, if you could start and we'll move on with the discussion. And thank you, Ilya, for presenting the results.
So speaking about the fintechs, Komerční banka is very open with any kind of cooperation. We have even opened a part of KB, which is called KB Smart Solutions. And then any kind of fintech or anyone with a good idea can come and present the idea, and Komerční banka is deciding to either invest or make a partnership or to enter with its capital. So definitely something which we believe in the future can help us to improve our services and to enlarge our scope. We already have some kind of five fintechs which we work on. Some of them are our daughter company. Some of them are just the partners, and it can change in the meantime. Just maybe an example, one is very close to the payments. We have a daughter company fintechs called Finbrix, which is doing the bank integrations for the customers for e-shop, for example, for e-shop merchants based on the PSD2. So I think, our target now is because in the past, part of the services has been also provided by KB itself. And our definitely target for next year is not to have these double services. And instead of deciding to keep it in the bank, we decided to fully, move it and outsource it to this fintech because we see they are more efficient in terms of costs, etc. Also faster in terms of time to market. So clearly, we see fintechs as possible for cooperation. Like you mentioned, Revolut also time to time the competition, but I would trust in that like a competition in a good sense, because it's also source of our inspirations. Because if you look at the payments, Revolut being mentioned several times as the top on the market, so we need to be at least the same or even better if we want to succeed from long run. So they are helping us to grow and to be better.
Okay, Krzysztof, if you could maybe also comment. I mean, you mentioned, I understood that this is more maybe I would say client in relationship or B2B relationship with the fintechs, but I would say what is your perception? I mean, maybe there are also some competitors on the radar.
So I would say that the poll that we see are very, the results are just answering this question very precisely. I mean, it's half. It depends. There are some areas that we are very, the competition is very high, and as Monica said, there are some areas where actually we can benefit from each other a lot. And we had also an interesting discussion within our team, because it's this discussion about the fintechs is about the payments and in relation to payments, our topic of discussion today. And we came to the conclusion that okay, fintechs and banks, they are like competing for payments, but the goal are different. I mean, banks used to like gather the payments because of gathering deposits, and this is our main role, and we are then do the lending. And when we look at the fintechs, they are their competition for payments, and they're trying to acquiring the payments because they acquire the information. They would like to get the information about the client behaviors, and based on that, they are selling additional services, and they are very good in it. And I think looking from this perspective, it will be very hard for the banks to compete with the PSPs in this area. They are very innovative, they are very flexible, they usually have dream ideas, and they can receive some extra funds from the market just to try some solutions. And in this, I would say, sphere, they will be much better than the banks in the future, and there is no doubt about that. On the other hand, we have this, let's say, wholesale banking, financial institution part of the banking when we cooperate with fintechs. And of course, from this perspective, when we look, that's okay advantage for us, opportunity for us, because working in the fintechs, which are very successful in the market, bring us also significant revenue, significant deposits, because as we look at the fintechs today, they are not very much interesting of, let's say, holding this role of custodial role of holding the funds on their accounts. They are more like with this additional services. So we can, I would say, share the business, and we can of course service the fintechs, and they will do their jobs. And this is how it works, I think, today. The fintechs will also need us to protect the client funds. They also have some, I would say, funding needs. And the banks are strong in this area. So there are a lot of, I would say, points of cooperation and sharing the business together, right? So this is how we look at it. And BNP is very active in the cooperation with fintechs. We invested last year in the fintechs called Cantox. Finally, we became the owner of Cantox. This is the company who is like helping companies to manage their FX positions, and together in this EPI initiative I already mentioned, we bought the Ideal. This is the fintech company in Netherlands, which accounts for 70% of the e-commerce payments. So it looks that there are many ways how we can cooperate. Of course, in looking on the retail perspective, it's more difficult because in retail the competition is very strong, but also retail has their own achievements in terms of the financing of what we already mentioned, some kind of installment payments, some kind of financing of purchases in e-commerce, this lending in e-commerce. So I think it depends, but we can all benefit from cooperation for sure in the future.
Maria, I mean, from your perspective, more competition, more cooperation, or also, I'll say half, like.
Yeah. So actually, banks used to own the entire end-to-end value chain. Right? We were manufacturing our products. We were distributing them through our branches, our digital channels, call centers, mobile banking, internet banking, and then we were we were running those products in-house. But this is slow and expensive, right? So if we would like to, from Alice in Wonderland, I really love that. If we want to compete with these fintechs, so we have to run as fast as they do, right? And probably as triple as the fraudster do. So obviously, what we should have to take care is this superior customer experience, and then use best-in-class providers, plug here and there whenever you need, in order to have the product and service at least as the same level as fintechs do, or as Monica say, even try to be better. So what I think is that we as a bank should leverage on our assets, on our established brands, on the trust we have of the customers, on our customer base, right? So we are regulatory compliant. So those are things which we should leverage on, and then partner with best-in-class provider in order to be really able to compete with them. What I think is that actually competition and cooperation will coexist, but this is not bad, right? This is something which is bringing value for all of us, as actually both Christoph and Monica confirm. So this is something which we should, which in long term we will all will benefit, and it is very dynamic and involving ecosystem. So. It will stay as it is, obviously, but we should run really fast.
Okay. We are running now the last 15 minutes of our webinar. So here the call for the audience. If you still have some questions, I mean, just put them into the chat, and we'll try to grab them and address them in the last 15 minutes. I would like to come back also to one of the topics, which was the question in the poll regarding the revenue drivers, because finally I think it's also important to talk about money where it's generated in this business. And I think here there was one trend saying, okay, instant payments and even maybe I would say domestic payments will be this driver. I mean, also, I think if you look on this area, I think what is really interesting, especially in case of non-Euro countries, is I would say cross-border payments, because I mean there is also some FX revenues which are generated here, and in generally, I would say this product, it's not yet, I would say, such a commodity, maybe like I would say instant payments where clients believe, I would say, that this is obvious that the money comes within, I would say, a couple of seconds from one client into another, because I would say they are used to this instant world already using, I would say, different other applications. So from your perspective, if you look forward, I would say, what would be the main revenue drivers? So do you expect some, I would say, shifts in the structure of revenues? Probably because of, for instance, this instant payments where they should be, you know, equal to the normal payments. I mean, what changes in the revenues do you expect? Maybe Maria, if you could start.
Yeah, so I totally agree with you. In terms of volumes, obviously domestic payments will prevail. But if we are talking about share of revenue, where we expect the bigger part of income, it's cross-border payments and related FX. Of course, here again, going back to the topic of the competitors, we have to, especially when talking about instant payment, obviously this requires also real-time FX possibility to do the conversion real-time, especially if you would like to keep the margins as less as possible, right? But still, I think that this will be probably the main revenue drivers in the years to come, if we are, when talking about payments.
Monica?
So in Czech Republic, as I already mentioned, you know, the day-to-day banking, thanks to the newcomers, newly established banks like 10 years ago, they created an image that, you know, daily banking is free, must be free of charge. So it's not easy then to look at the possible future revenue drivers, because we have been already losing for last 10 years in the day-to-day area. So our target definitely is to focus on value-added services, where we believe if the day-to-day become kind of hygiene, where the majority of the customer, especially on retail, is not willing to pay, then our target is much more to make sure that we are coming with value-added services where the customers are ready to pay. We have now the new pricing structure where we have like a packages where the day-to-day usually is kind of free of charge, or you bundle we call it extra services, and according to our surveys, it works much more, much better. We are now, or even started in the past, moving from products to customer needs, because especially for retail, so we are launching or we plan to launch the services, not like the, I don't know, insurance, why we call it like security package. And what is inside, it's covering generally a big part of your family's security needs. You have a shopping package, you know, so really our target is to go to the future this way. Additionally to that, we are not anymore looking at the product profitability itself, but we are, even in the retail, we have to look much more on a customer profitability. So even losing maybe on our side, our target is to offset it and to find a new revenue, new source of revenue to make, of course, because we are also the company with investors, so they would like to see the growth. So of course, our target is to find another source. And maybe not mentioned yet, we are now very much focusing on cost structure. because even though the revenue side is stable or it's getting a bit of down, for example, we have launched recently an initiative in the banks to share the ATMs, because the ATM itself, quite a big investment. You go to the shopping malls, you see 5 ATMs next to each other, 5 times cost. So we have recently launched a project where we are starting with 4 banks being in, but the others also maybe join soon. And we would like to share this infrastructure to try to cut the costs as much as possible for the day-to-day banking area.
Krzysztof?
Yeah, I fully agree, and I think we should. I mean, when we look at the instant payment, I also have this feeling that the fees collected on instant payment will be relatively low, and we will be under the pressure to make the price of the instant payment equal to regular payments. So I would not see a big revenues from this perspective. However, as also Maria said, that we need to look on additional products related to let's say instant payment or cross-border payment, and I think the FX is the main driver today. There is also a big discussion about this cross-border payment, because from the retail perspective, I think we lost quite a lot of cross-border payments to the fintechs, and the question is whether we should a little bit focus on regaining this business. And why we lost it? Because we lost it because there was a lack of, let's say, visibility on the bank side. There was this cost experience, which was not the best one, let's say. When we go to the Revolut, we have the payment for free, we have full visibility, and we have a guarantee that the sum that we are executing will arrive to the beneficiary. This is something which was not so sure on the bank side. When you look at our table, it was very complex, right? A lot of even percentage of fee which was calculated on the percentage. So when you look at it, you are frightened, right? So in different countries, BNP already started the process, and they try to come up with the solution, with the offer of payment for free, a nice visibility, and also guarantee of the funds that they will arrive at the exact amount to the beneficiary. And of course, we lose on the fees, but we gain a lot on the FX. So this is the game today we are playing. And I think we should look from this perspective, improving a service and get a new additional revenues. And I also agree with Monica. The same topic, ATMs and frozen cash. We talk about payments today, but we look also at the profitability. And let's be honest, cross-border payments are not also the cheapest one. And there are still attract a lot of attention from operations. I mean, the price of the transfer is cheap, but because they are not so seamless still, they are attracting a lot of attention from the operational perspective. So there is a need to do some manual input into the payments from time to time. There are lots of the tracking issue. There are things with the compliance you need to solve, you need to get additional information. So I think it's also the area to improvement in terms of the cost, and at the end of the day, to improve the profitability on this site.
We are heading the last 5 minutes of our webinar, and we want to finish on time. So my I would say last round of questions to you. We would like maybe I would like to finalize with some recommendation from you. I mean, if you would like to recommend, I would say, also to other players who are also faced with the challenges which we discussed, I would say, what would be your recommendation regarding focus and creating really a future-oriented, I would say, payments ecosystem? I mean, so what would be your recommendation to your peers to focus on in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 years? Maybe Maria, if you could start.
Actually, I will just summarize. I will not being able to add anything new, right? So what we should focus definitely, it's the speed. We have to improve it. We have to make the payments as instant as possible, real time, or at least faster. Then what Krzysztof several times mentioned, transparency of payments are very, very important. The customer to be able to see from the very beginning what will be the fee applied, what will be the FX, all of that, those needs to be presented very clearly. And also information when it is expected this money to reach the receiver, right? Also, if not possible exact time, at least approximation of when this will happen. Then what cost efficiency, the price for the payments, obviously it's very important, especially in some of the markets. Convenience, customer experience in general as well, don't even need to mention that. And last but not least, also what is very important is the payout options, right? We are not nowadays we are not only talking about cash payouts, but obviously we are talking about the transfers to account, transfers to cards, but also transfers to wallets, especially in some areas of the world like Asia, right? It is very important. There are countries where people do not have accounts, right? They do have some digital wallets where they store value, but that's all. So this is in a nutshell what our focus areas for the next years should be in terms of the payments.
Mm-hmm. Monica?
So I would start with the customer first. I think this is and this is what the fintechs where they were better than us, is that they really come close to the customer, sitting with them, and then design the products not based on the ideas of the bankers, but based on the customer needs, which I think this should be also, and I believe that must for the future if we want to succeed. Second, I think that we have to be secure. Not only, I think that if you look at the possible attacks from everywhere, I believe that in the future, the clients will be aware of what may happen. And, money is kind of sensitive, very sensitive if you speak about the security. So definitely, I think we have to be even one step ahead of all of these attackers to make sure that we really take care of the security of the money which customers has with us. And also, I believe, even though we have a lot of data in the banks, I never heard any bank which say I really utilize them properly. So I think that the data and the ability to work with them and use the new technologies like AI and being even offering something customer even before he even think of that could be that I think can make us being successful.
Mm-hmm. We had a comment that maybe, if you are advising the competitors, I would say the advices might be misleading, but I think we believe in I would say, sharing the experience and also collaboration. So I think, maybe it's a summary stuff from you, because I'm just
and this comment is maybe
the
comment is maybe addressed to me, because we spent with Grzegorz several hours yesterday discussing about our payment strategy and today's webinar. So, but I referring to what Maria and Monica said, I fully agree. Customer first. If I have any recommendation, this is the. So when we're looking for the trend, it's actually the answer of the customer needs. So we need to follow the customer needs. I think what also pop up in our discussion, we need to invest in the IT infrastructure to improve our capabilities, capacity, and reliability. And this is to have just robust infrastructure. This is important. I think we should be also open for this cooperation with fintechs and treat them as the source of innovation, of inspiration, as Monica said. And last but not least, we need to be aware and on the regulations, because also regulations impact the payment trends on the markets.
Monica, Maria, Krzysztof, thank you very much for your closing remarks. I think this summarized very well our over an hour discussion. And of course, thank you very much for your time and participation and sharing your insights. I do hope that it was also valuable for our audience just to cross-check with their priorities and what is on their agenda. So once again, thank you very much. I hope that also you enjoyed this exchange because you represent different markets, and I think maybe this is somehow also nice just to see what issues and challenges are in common and maybe what are in different. So also very warm thank you to all participants, to the audience for answering the poll, participating today. And of course, we do believe that if you have any topics to discuss, to continue, we are also, I'll say, happy to share our experience, because also we are working as consultants and advisors in the payments industry. So don't hesitate to reach out to me, to Nicola or Alexander, just to discuss further topics which might be of interest to you. So once again, thank you very much for today, for joining us. And yeah, see you on our next webinars, which we will also share soon. Thank you very much for today.
Thank you very much.
Lovely day.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Thank you. Have a nice
Bye-bye.
day. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.